All right, let's dive deep today. We're going to take on uh, the world built by the Doza crew, at least lyrically.
Hmm.
We're talking those little details that stick with you, those recurring figures, and that feeling that something's just not right about the world.
Yeah, like this deciphering a code almost. You've given us this collection of songs, and the lyrics are surprisingly detailed. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I know, right? Each song is like a little piece of the bigger picture,
Yeah.
this sense of being trapped, this fight for freedom, and then these figures that pop up again and again, like the Klabauterman and the Sandman and even Krampus. That's wild.
It's definitely not what you expect when you turn on the radio. They have taken technology and folklore and somehow blended them together.
Okay, let's break this down, starting with that feeling of being trapped, that need to escape.
Yeah.
You really get that from Gefangen im Loop and Jailbreak, right?
Oh, definitely. Especially Gefangen Impact, keine Flucht, kein Entkommen from Gefangen im Loop. Just that feeling of being stuck, and not just physically stuck, like you're mentally trapped too.
It's kind of creepy, actually. And the way they describe it, no real voice, no real laughter, no sorrow, only fake emotions behind this curtain of sound.
Hmm.
But then with Jailbreak, it goes beyond just running away. It's like they're fighting back, like a revolution, but in the digital world.
Right, and that's where mainframe revolution comes in. When they say bits and bytes in our hand, we shape the world in the shadow of the mainframe where only darkness counts. It feels like they're trying to change reality itself.
But isn't hacking the mainframe dangerous? I mean, there's got to be consequences.
Yeah, makes you wonder what happens to the people who don't manage to escape.
Right. Like the Insam Alten man in Klobotagarn, frozen in the city. Is that what happens when the system wins?
That's a really interesting connection, actually. I mean, the way that Klabauterman describes him, face frozen in an eternal smile, breath already stilled. It's not just death, right? It's like they've lost themselves.
Okay, now that is dark. And speaking of dark, Kaleidoscopischer Trummer is full of creepy imagery, like escaping prison only to end up in some weird nightmare.
Yeah, the Doza crew seems to love messing with what's real and what's not. Reality distorts itself like a nightmare, and in every corner, monsters lurk unseen.
Yeah, and with that, in a kaleidoscopic dream, repeating over and over, you start to wonder, is any of this real? Or are they all trapped in some kind of simulation?
That's the genius of it, isn't it? They leave it up to you to decide.
So we've got this escape from the mainframe, this descent into a very strange dream world, and then, well, the Klabauterman. He's everywhere in these songs. Intriguing and also a little scary.
He's such an interesting figure. You know, at first, in Klabautergarn, it's just this mischievous trickster from folklore.
Right, right. But then it gets darker. He's fighting supernatural creatures and manipulating the Doza crew, and we know he's connected to that old man.
Right. Like, he's both good and bad. It's hard to tell.
Exactly. And how did he help the Doza crew escape? Is he helping them or putting them in more danger? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, he's definitely not your average character, that's for sure.
Okay, so we've got escape, a dream world, and a trickster who might not be so trustworthy. Where do we go from here?
Well, things are about to get pretty epic. Let's talk about Pack-Schneck-Sie, the ultimate showdown, Sandman versus Krampus.
Oh, that song. It was incredible. Like they took those legends and turned them into something new. The Sandman with his subtle dream magic, and then Krampus who's all brute strength.
Right, and the way they describe the fight, it's so vivid. Like when they say the Sandman, enveloped in an aura of mysterious sand, stepped silently and almost soundlessly onto the battlefield. But then Krampus, half goat, half demon with glowing red eyes, just charges in.
And the Sandman loses. I was shocked. The subtle magic is no match for brute force. So what does that tell us?
It's a good question. Maybe raw power is just too much. Or maybe they're hinting that the fight against the mainframe is just too much for them. It's hard to say.
And don't forget, they even mentioned that this Sandman is inspired by T.S. Eliot. What does that mean for the story? It seems like there's more to him. Could he come back?
It definitely adds another layer. And it makes you think that this fight isn't just a one-time thing. It's part of a bigger struggle, maybe between light and dark.
They're not afraid to go deep, are they?
Mm.
Okay, so we've got escape, dream worlds, a tricky character, and an epic fight. But what about the people? Where are the emotions in all this?
That's where Schottenwesen and Verborgen Melody come in. They really focus on the human side of all of this constant fight, the isolation that comes with it.
Schottenwesen especially. The lyrics are haunting. Cursed souls never finding peace, driven through the night, eternal hunger, cold emptiness. It's hard to hear.
Yeah, and Verborgen Melody keeps going with this theme. Alone in this frozen city, feeling invisible. You really feel it when they say, In this frosty night, the world cannot see me.
So are they saying that escaping the mainframe is just another kind of prison? A prison of loneliness?
Well, that's a really good question, isn't it? Is this what happens when you're free? Or is it the price you pay? Is it a consequence or is it freedom?
This is intense. Maybe we need something a little more upbeat. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. How about something with a little more dancing?
Okay, yes. Das Ritual. This is where things get really interesting. It's like they've taken all this technology, all this magic, and it's coming together in this dance.
Even just the word ritual is important, right? Like it's
Yeah.
something powerful, maybe even dangerous.
Yeah. And the lyrics are crazy. City lights, pulsating beats, sleepwalkers, bad dreams. It's like technology and magic on a dance floor.
That's a good way to put it. And the dance is like a bridge between the two worlds. It's like they're tapping into something more primal, something the mainframe can't control.
Okay, this is giving me chills just thinking about it. But what's the goal? What are they trying to achieve with this ritual? And will they be okay?
Good questions. I think we'll have to keep digging. This is the Doza crew. We know they never give us easy answers.
That's for sure. But you know what? We've only just started. This world is so complex. There's so much to unpack.
Yeah, I agree. And I can't wait to get deeper. Stay tuned, everybody. We're just getting started.
Okay, so welcome back, everyone. We're still exploring the world of the Doza crew. Last time, we were talking about this Das Ritual, this fusion of tech and magic that maybe, just maybe, holds the key to freedom.
Yeah, dust ritual is definitely important. Like we were saying, it hints at this possibility of transformation. Like they could actually break free from the mainframe. But it's not going to be easy. There are risks.
Definitely. I mean, you get that sense of danger, like something bad is hiding just below the surface, especially with all the talk of sleepwalkers and bad dreams.
Right. And I think that's worth exploring, actually, this idea of danger, of this darkness that seems to be everywhere.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's everywhere.
Mhm.
From the endless horror we talked about in Gefangen im Loop to those creepy shadows in Kaleidoscopischer Traum, it's like the darkness never goes away.
Even Mainframe Revolution, which is about fighting back, has those lines, we hack ourselves free, but the shadows, they lurk. Every bit of fight, we feel the walls. It's like, even when they're fighting for freedom, they know something's still out there.
And then there's the insane Alten man in Klabautergarn, you know, the old man. We talked about him before. His story is so relevant to this whole darkness thing.
Totally. That image is hard to forget. Frozen in the city, face frozen in an eternal smile, breath already stilled. It's not just that he's dead, it's like something more.
Yeah, and the Klabauterman, he's the one telling this story. And he makes it sound like this is what happens if you make the wrong choices.
Right, like a warning. And it ties back into escaping. What if the old man is what happens when you give up? When you just can't fight anymore and you let the despair win?
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
kind of depressing.
Yeah.
So is that what's in store for the Doza crew? Are they doomed?
Not necessarily. I mean, Das Ritual shows us there's a way to face that darkness, maybe even use it.
Yeah, but is it safe?
Hmm.
It seems kind of dangerous.
It is risky, that's for sure. And it brings us back to this question of control. I mean, who's really in control during this ritual? Is it the people dancing? Or the technology? Or is it the magic itself? Who's pulling the strings?
You know what? I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. The escape, the dream world, the supernatural beings, those emotions we talked about, this ritual, it's all connected. It's one big story.
Exactly. And just like they use bits and bytes to reshape the digital world in Mainframe Revolution, they're using rhythm, movement, this ritual to reshape themselves, to face the darkness, to fight back against it.
Wow. Okay, so we've got rebellion, escape, supernatural beings, we've got the human side of it, and this ritualistic dance. Are we missing anything?
Actually, there's one more character we should talk about, the Trumtänzerin, the dream dancer.
Oh, right. She's there in Klabautergarn, right. Fighting the Nachtelb, that nightmare creature, along with the Klabauterman. But we don't really know much about her.
And I think that's on purpose. The Doza crew, they like to keep some things a mystery. They want us to think for ourselves.
That's fair. So what can we figure out about her?
Well, even just her name, Dream Dancer. She's all about dreams, illusions, and the fact that she's fighting the nightmare alongside the Klabauterman, well, it makes you think she's a force for good, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So Klabauterman, he's good and bad, but the Trumtänzerin, maybe she's just pure good.
Could be. But you have to remember, dreams can be tricky. They can be good, but they can also be scary. The Doza crew, they don't make things simple. It's never just black and white.
Right, right. That's what makes their world so interesting.
Exactly. It's all about those nuances, those little details.
Yeah, just when you think you understand something, there's another piece of the puzzle.
It's like a maze, isn't it? And the Doza crew, they're not just telling us a story, they're asking us to be part of it.
Yeah, they want us to think, to question things, to use our imaginations.
Right. So as we head into the last part of this deep dive, there's a lot to think about. We've talked about the struggle, about escaping, about the dangers, and how things can change. But what does it all mean? What are they trying to tell us? And what does this journey tell us about ourselves? About how we deal with technology, with magic, even with that darkness inside us?
Those are big questions.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm ready for them. Let's do this. All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into the Doza crew's world. Escape, dreams, battles, this feeling of darkness everywhere. We've covered a lot.
We have, and we've seen how they might find a way out, how things could change, how they could take control. But what's the point? What are they trying to tell us?
You know, I think we keep coming back to this one guy, the Klabauterman. Maybe he holds the answer.
He's been there since the beginning, a guide, a trickster. He's definitely a survivor. And maybe, just maybe, he shows us the Doza crew's own struggles.
Yeah, Klabautergarn gives us those pieces of his story. Fighting supernatural creatures, escaping something. He's like a mini version of their whole journey.
He's got that mix of light and dark that's everywhere in their world. And what about the Frozen Man? Is that a warning from him? Like a look what happens if you mess up kind of thing?
The Klabauterman. He helps the Doza crew escape. But is he really helping? Or is he making things worse? It's hard to say.
Right. He's not an easy guy to figure out.
Okay, so how does he fit into everything? What does he tell us about what the Doza crew is trying to say?
Okay, think of it this way. The mainframe, that's the system, trying to control everyone. And the Klabauterman, he's our own struggles, the good and bad inside us.
So they're not just trying to escape the outside world, they're fighting their own demons too.
Exactly. And the choices they make, that's what shapes their journey.
Okay, I get it. But what about the others? The Sandman, the Trumtenzerin, are they just along for the ride?
No, I don't think so. They show us different ways to deal with the darkness. The Sandman, he uses dreams, illusions. He's subtle, but like we saw in Pax Schlexi, sometimes that's not enough.
Yeah, he got taken down by Krampus. Raw power, pure instinct.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying sometimes you need more than just cleverness to win.
Right. But then there's the Tromtenzerin, the dream dancer. She's harder to figure out, but she fights the nightmare alongside the Klabauterman. That says something, right?
Like, she's strong in a different way.
Yeah.
Maybe she can handle the darkness without getting lost in it.
Maybe she's the key to finding balance. Using the darkness without letting it destroy you.
So the Klabauterman, he's our inner struggles. The Sandman and Krampus, they show us different kinds of power. And the Tromtenzerin, she might be the answer. But what about the music? How does all of this fit into what we hear?
Well, their music, it's like a mirror, reflecting everything they're going through. The fight, the escape, facing that darkness, it's all there.
You can hear it, right? The rhythms, those weird sounds, the melodies, it all pulls you in.
And when we listen, we become part of their journey. It makes us think about our own demons, those systems trying to control us. It makes us want to find our own way out.
Wow, that's deep. But one last thing. If the Doza crew are trapped inside this digital world, who's making the music? Who's telling their story?
That's a good question. Maybe there's something else going on, something we haven't figured out yet. Or maybe they're saying that even when you're trapped, you can still create, you can still make art that breaks free.
It's like a message from inside the prison.
Yeah.
And somehow it reached us out here.
And we have to figure out what it means. We have to keep the conversation going.
So I guess that's it for our deep dive into the world of the Doza crew. We found some hidden meanings, talked about some pretty big ideas, and maybe even learned something about ourselves along the way.
Yeah, and this isn't the end. Go back, listen again, look closer at the lyrics. There's always something new to discover.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Keep those ears open, those minds curious, and keep on exploring.